even though it's still a little bit cool outside. Now I'm in zone 10 and it's March, and the nights are still pretty cold and not too warm in the day either. But we can still grow beautiful flowers. It's that time of year. So I like to call these cool season plants and cool season seeds. So I'd like to show you 3 different ways that you can get them out in your garden now. And we can do a quick pop of color, and then we can have some that are going to be coming up in just a few months. Hi, I'm Sonia with Suburban Gardening, and I can't wait to get out in the garden and start putting some flowers. It's been a long winter. I know a lot of you are still falling out, so I can't wait to get some spring color into the garden, and we are at the perfect time. Now, the flowers that I have, and I also have a pumpkin that we're going to be working with today. I'm going to be doing some pumpkin seeds, some lupine seeds, some snapdragons, poppy seeds. These are California poppies, and some forget-me-nots. Now, these are all plants and seeds that can take 48 degrees and up. If it gets much lower than that, they're not going to die, but they're probably not going to germinate as well. So we're going to get these in the ground and into some pots, and that way we can make sure they get germinated and they're going to look gorgeous, gorgeous. Also, what you can do is run down to the nursery and pick up some 6-packs or whatever they have down there. Now, your nursery, your local nursery, not your local box store, should be able to tell you everything you need to know about this season and what to plant. Right now, what I have are some gorgeous pansies, and these are hybrid pansies, so that means there's lots of color. And I also have some hybrid snapdragons. Look at the beautiful color. My gosh, our garden is just going to wake up and be alive for springtime. Now, these were great in the garden, and I want to tell you one little trick. If you'd like them to stay in your garden longer, because mine will start to go down around the end of July because it's just too hot and they just don't take the heat, plant them someplace where they're going to get afternoon shade. That way they will last a lot longer. You might even get some into August. As you noticed, I have 2 different types of seed planting pots. I have just your regular 6-packs. I save these when I pick stuff up like this at the nursery. I just hold on to these and I reuse them over and over until they crack and I can't use them anymore. But I did invest in these, and I'll put the link below if I can find them on Amazon. So you can pick these up. Now, basically, these are made for a tree type of a thing, but also they work great for sunflowers, pumpkins, lupine, anything that has a very long, strong root. And pumpkins are strong rooted and they need a lot of space. So you get quite a bit more space in one of these. So this is just a better growing type of a container. I've done a couple of videos on how to plant seeds, and I'll put the links for you in the description box below so you can check those out, because I'm kind of going pretty fast here today because I want to get out in the yard and get my hands in the dirt. Anyways, these are the snapdragons, and I'm just going to pour them out into my hand. Now, what I know from reading the back of this is that snapdragons need light to germinate, so I'm not going to bury them. I'm strictly going to sprinkle some on top. And I always put a little more than I should. but I want to make sure I get a good germination rate because I love snapdragons. Okay, there's the snapdragons. I already made a tag for it, so we're going to put that in here. Now we also have some forget-me-nots. I've never grown these before, so I am super excited about these. They look beautiful, and they say that the butterflies love them. Coming up here, I'm going to be creating a couple of butterfly gardens on our property, and I cannot wait to see how that happens. Last year, I was quite ill, and I couldn't get out in the garden to, garden the way that I like. So instead, I started learning about how to attract butterflies, and I think we have some really good information. All right, here are the forget-me-nots, and let me see. I'm just going to put them all in there. Let me see. It says to press. So just press. They also need light to germinate. So the reason that we press them down is because so that the seed is actually making contact with the soil that's moist. And then that way the seed knows what to do. It soaks up that water and it germinates itself. Okay, so let's do some California poppies. Now, I just can't get enough of these things. And quite frankly, when you grow them in an environment like this and you transplant them, they don't like that. So I grow quite a few just in case I lose a couple. And I'm just going to sprinkle them down here on top. Yes, I did put quite a few because I love my poppies. Now, California poppies are heirloom type of plants. And what that means is that the seeds are reliable. So if you have California poppies and you see the seed pods, you can collect those and save those seeds for next year if you like. Now, on the California poppy, it says to scatter and then rake. So we're going to rake it with this. So I'm just going to loosen up that soil. This is about as good a raking I could do right here. And it just sort of pushes those seeds down, but they're not really getting covered up. Here we go. And my California poppy. Oh, I need 2 of these. Shoot. Okay, I'll make another one. Now, we'll put those aside for just a second. So these are my wonderful containers. And I have some Big Macs pumpkins. Big, big, big seeds. These are great for kids, and I'll show you in a minute why. They come up so beautifully. Now, I know that these need to be pushed down into the soil, at least a ½ inch to 1 inch. So I'm just going to put 1 seed, and I'm just going to push it down in. Oh, I can't wait to see these. They're going to be gorgeous. Okay, now we have 4 pumpkin plants. If I was planting these out in my garden on the hill, I would put 3 in a hill, like mound up the soil and then put 3 seeds in there. But because I'm doing them here where they're going to be very controlled environment, I'm not going to have to worry about critters and squirrels eating them and things like that. I think just putting 1 in is going to make the perfect way to do it. So I have my Big Mac right there. And now for my lupine. I can't be more excited about these lupine seeds. We took a trip to Victoria Island in Canada and went to Bouchard Gardens. Oh, go. You must go. It's a fabulous place. 1, 2, 1, 2. And I picked these seeds up there. And I'm so excited to see what they're going to do. That's a totally different environment than we have here. But I think they'll be a perfect perennial here, which means that they'll grow in the cool season and then they'll die down when it's hot and come back in the spring. Oh, and here is my lupine. I need to put a little bit of soil in there. That one didn't get enough. They need to be covered about a ½ inch. There we go. Okay. Now what we would do is water these, and this is my little trick. Always put your seeds in some type of a greenhouse environment. I don't think these are going to fit, but let's try it. So we're going to put them in this little environment here. Now this makes it really easy for me to get them moved around too. These aren't going to fit, I can tell already. What I'm going to do with these is I'm going to put plastic wrap over the top of them and then put your dome on. Now what the dome does is it causes a greenhouse effect, and you won't have to keep watering them all the time. But the most important thing, do not put them in direct sunshine. These guys need to be in a shaded environment where they get bright light, so they need that light to germinate, but not in the sun because it will absolutely burn them up. Once you see them coming up and they have a couple little leaves on them, then you can take this off, and this is what they'll look like. With just a little bit of patience and a little bit of time and some water, you will end up with these beautiful plants. Now, these California poppies look absolutely amazing. I'll tell you what, there's about 3 or 4 in each one of these cells, and I'm going to have to get them out of there because they don't like being messed with. Here are the Snapdragons. They look great. They're ready to be transplanted into their own little container or even out into the yard. More poppies. And then the forget-me-nots are so cute. How cute these little guys are. I can't wait to get those out into the garden, and because they're going to grow big and they're really going to attract a lot of butterflies and pollinators. Okay, now we can move on to something I've been waiting for all day, and that's to get some of these into the ground. What I have is I have the pansies, and they're so beautiful. I'm going to put them in a space where they're going to get afternoon shade, and that way they're going to really produce for me for a very long time. And then we have the Snapdragons. And so I'm very excited about getting these Snapdragons into the ground. They have been in this pot way too long. Let me show you. Oh, goodness. They are completely root bound. So I'm going to rough those up. And what I mean by that is I'm going to tear them open. So they'll get down into the dirt better that way. I haven't hurt it. And I'm going to go put these in some pots out in the yard so we can get some quick spring color. I almost forgot to show you the pumpkins. So here we have the lupine in these wonderful little containers. And these containers, they pop open. And that way I can get the plants out of there very easy. So the lupine, look at it, they're so cute. And look at these pumpkins. Oh my goodness. So they've been growing in there for 4 weeks. This is 4 weeks of growth for all of these plants. And look at how great they did. Now, because the weather here is above 48 degrees, I can keep these outside. I don't need any greenhouse. I don't need a hot pad. I don't need any heating lights. They'll be perfect in a bright area outside. I think you guys completely get the picture. Getting out these cool season flowers, putting them in several different ways. We went to the nursery and we got some 6-packs, which is a really quick pop of color. I planted some seeds and they'll be up in a couple of weeks, so I'll be able to add more to the garden. And when you're out in the garden, just go ahead and sprinkle some seeds around. You know, it's likely they're going to come up and you'll have even more plants without doing anything at all. I know it seems a little peculiar to be planting carrots in my pots, Well, swallowtail butterflies love carrot tops, and I actually love these multicolored carrots. So I can't wait for them to come up, and the swallowtail butterflies will be extra happy to see them. You can do this with any kind of seed that you have. Just read the back, see how much you're supposed to bury it or not, and then I'm sure they'll come up and they'll be great. So all of these plants that I did today, I'm going to need to water them in really good. They're in a little bit of shock because I've been messing around with them. Put some good water, and you notice that I put some of the continuous release fertilizer in there. That'll keep them going all season long so they can just be pumping out those flowers and getting bigger and bigger. Now this is a piñata rose, and the colors of it are orange with a little bit of yellow. So I think that these yellow pansies are going to look amazing underneath this beautiful vine. It's going to look great. Well, you guys, I think you got the picture on how to do all this, and I know you can just run out in your garden and get some color out there really quick. Our lows are not going to be under 48 degrees anymore. So everything can be outside and nothing will get too cold. So now's the time to start getting those plants out into the garden. What I'm going to be doing for the next week is getting out here and cleaning up all of the pots, all of the flower beds, even my raised bed with my vegetables in it, because I'm going to be putting out some cool weather vegetables like kale, lettuce, things like that, maybe even a little spinach and maybe some carrots. So that'll be a really fun thing to do. And it's still enough time. April and May will be pretty cool for us, so we can still grow quite a few things. But you guys, that was so much fun. It's spring. It's time to get our flowers out into the garden. And I hope you guys really like that. Now, we're going to be having a lot more videos coming up on how to do a butterfly garden, how to remake your patios, so many things. I hope you'll subscribe so you won't miss an episode. Well, you guys, thanks so much for stopping by. I'll see you next time.